Unfortunately, within this conversation, Joe, we've been in this business long enough to see Facebook go through different iterations, and we know that organic reach is really hard to capture these days. So, as we're talking about Facebook and the importance of it, just keep that in mind. You're not going to develop success overnight, but it is a platform where your audience is spending your time. And if you commit to it and if you commit to best practices, then you can truly build an audience that's relevant to you and your brand. But Joe, I say that to introduce the topic of paid ads on Facebook as well. We don't have to dive too deep into it, but I just want our audience to kind of understand the different approaches that you can take with the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think we've mentioned before that when you're posting organically, even if you have 100 followers, unfortunately, Facebook isn't going to deliver that to the 100 followers. So it's on average of about 5 to 10% will actually receive or actually see your post. So don't get frustrated if you're not getting a lot of likes or if you're not getting a lot of engagement. The fact is it's not being delivered to that many people, especially the lower count that you have. But that's where the boosting does come into play. So there's two options. You can do the boosting option, which is where your post, if it does well and you see engagement and you believe that that's a solid, valuable post, you can throw $5 behind it or $10 in a boost. And then that means, and you can even select, I want to reach people who liked my page. Then it's actually delivering your post to the people who liked your page. That tells you right there, it's not delivering it to everybody. That's why it's making you pay in order to reach those people. As you move into the ads platform, it opens the door a little bit more to try out different things. So it's not showing it on the page itself, but you can build ads behind the scenes to target audiences. One of the things I like to do is, especially if I'm trying to build my audience, is I will run ads and I will exclude people who like my page, because I will post and boost for the people who like my page, and then when I'm running ads, I purposely exclude them because I'm trying to build or I'm trying to reach a new audience, and I'm speaking to that new audience or I'm running ads to that new audience that I wouldn't necessarily run to my current audience. So those are the different ways that that you can utilize those two. It doesn't have to be expensive either. I've heard a lot of people that are like, oh, it's $1,000 a month that you have to do, for Facebook. And I'm like, no, it's really not. So even if you have a huge budget, I always tell everybody you should never start over $30 a day for any of those ads that you're doing. And then depending on how big the area is that you're hitting and how big that audience is, you probably only need $20 or $10, and you don't need it every day of the week. Maybe just do Monday through Friday. So you don't need to be hitting 7 days a week. So those are the type of things that you can look at, and keep in mind, you don't have to have big dollars in order to have a big impact. You can boost and do smaller budgets.
Sure. One thing I'd like to add to that too, and there may be instances where this isn't the case, but generally speaking, I would encourage people to get comfortable posting and building that organic engagement, because there is crossover between what works in a paid ads campaign and what works organically. And so that's where I kind of want to take this conversation, or some best practices when it comes to developing content. Again, there is some overlap, but what you're looking for on Facebook are high quality, clear images where, you mentioned this earlier, you're hooking attention and you're getting those thumbs to stop scrolling. And oftentimes, the best performing content is the content that showcases a human, a face, because we connect with other humans. We connect with faces. And Joe, time and time again, we see when we do testing, when we test different forms of content, those with human faces in it performs better than those without.
Absolutely. So every single webinar that we do every month, we run various ads, and we are truly testing against it. We're testing the copy. We're testing the visuals, as you mentioned. By far, every single month that we've been doing this, whenever it's a photo of you and I in there, now it could just be us. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's because there's people in that ad of why it does as well as it does. We've switched out and we've done text only, and we've switched out the way that the text is laid out. It never performs as well.
Yep.
So you're right. People like to connect with people. Another bit of advice for anybody who's trying to figure out what type of content works, especially if you're doing those paid ads, the basics and the 101s have always done great.
Hmm.
They always do. So if you're kind of stuck and you're like, hey, for the first time, I want to do something, or I want to, I want to do a class, or I want to do a webinar, or if I want to put out an ebook or something, those Medicare 101, those Medicare basics, those annuity 101, bringing it all the way back to the basics, it's educational only. You're not selling, you're just teaching.
Hmm.
Those are gold when it
Yeah.
comes to social media and when it comes to Facebook. Because the fact is even though we know a lot, within our industry, the average person doesn't deal with our industry on a day-to-day basis. And the last thing they're doing is reading every single day about the stuff that we do.
Exactly.
So the more that we can come out from the basics and teach them from the very beginning, it works almost every single time we've ever run a campaign.
That's such a good point to drive home. Just going back to basics for your audience that you're creating content for, but also, for this discussion that we're having right now, when it comes to what works on Facebook, you don't have to overcomplicate things because in this day and age, AI and AI generated content is causing a more skeptical consumer base
Mhm.
than perhaps we've ever seen before. So the more authentic you can make your content, the more real that you can make your content feel, the more success you're likely going to have, especially on a platform like Facebook. As I mentioned earlier, people think about what you and your friends or family engage with. It's family photos, it's real life events that people that are going through. So just try to recreate that with a business mindset and be as authentic as possible. And that can be through behind the scenes content.